العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين الصلاة والسلام على محمد رسول الله ومصطفى أمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. I testify that there is nothing or no one worthy to be worshipped except Allah. He has no partners, no associates, no ancestors, no descendants. He rules the universe alone. And I testify that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the messenger of Allah and the seal of the prophets. It is with these testimonies that I greet my beloved brothers and sisters again in universal dua. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, I ask Allah to guide my heart and guide my tongue and grant me the best words, the best speech, the best spirit, and the best tone to guide us all closer to Him and more loyal to the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This particular session is what we have entitled "How to Better Benefit from Ramadan." Actually, I came up with the idea after much contemplation and prayer to have this special session because I was thinking about the children. I'm very concerned about the Muslim children, particularly here in America. I can only talk about America because that's where we are. So my intention with this special Taalim today, and we're only going to be here about an hour, give or take a few minutes, inshallah. My intention is to encourage each Muslim household to establish, insist upon, and maintain a Ramadan atmosphere, not only within the four walls of the houses, but wherever any member of your family happens to be, in the car, in the store, in school, at work, at the masjid, park, etc. Just sit down right there. Thank you. Wherever they be, because the Ramadan actually is not just limited to a calendar month. It is a calendar month according to the lunar calendar that we specified for this particular occasion. But actually, Ramadan also is a season, it's a spirit, it's an atmosphere. And that's what I want us all to take a good look at. And I'm very, very concerned because as years go by, and I notice throughout the Muslim world, wherever I travel, there are less and less families that adhere to what the Ramadan atmosphere actually should be. Because it seems like the whole focus seems to be on food. You know, it's a big deal, you know, when we say it in English, fasting, then everybody thinks about food. That's it. Whether it's a suhoor meal in the morning, whether it's a fatur or iftar in the evening when the sun sets. And there's some Muslims already talking about the Eid feast. Believe me, Ramadan the moon hasn't even been sighted yet. And there's Muslims already talking about the Eid feast. You know, and so there's too much emphasis on the food. The food is a big help, but as we, with the help of Allah, make an attempt to articulate in this short time we have together, I would like for us to realign our focus. The revelation of the Quran, Allah had already written it, by the way. The Quran was the first book to be written. It's just the last to be revealed. The Quran came down, Allah already selected. He had already planned, he had already decreed, he had already planned for the Quran to be beginning to be revealed. The whole Quran wasn't revealed in Ramadan. It just began with first the 5 ayats from Surah number 96, Alaq, or the clock. And that began during the last part of Ramadan, the lunar month Ramadan. Now, we all know the story that I will only briefly summarize of the interaction between Jibril alayhi salam, the archangel, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There was an interaction between them. That when Allah selected these 5 ayats and said and told Jibril to give them to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then that's when the interaction began. And so when Jibril appeared in front of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he frightened him because of his size. And that was his first impression. And we have to understand that it was also in the Lord's decree that the prophets of the Lord that was selling would be alone in that cave. He had to be alone. Because I know for sure, I'm not trying to speculate, but if I had been there, and Jibril was so big that the prophet, peace be upon him, said everywhere he looked he could see him, I said, man, this is spooky, let's get out of here. But the prophets of the Lord that was selling had to be alone. He had to be alone so that he wouldn't be interrupted. His instincts or whatever, his reaction couldn't be interrupted by any other human being. And so now we know the interaction that he did. He said the first word, he said Iqra, means read or recite. Because Iqra actually is a certain type of reading. It's not like reading from a book. Iqra is to read something that's on your heart. Read something that you already have access to. He's like, Iqra. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know, read what? So Jibril, we know Jibril squeezed him. And that happened 3 times before he gave the rest of those parts of the surah. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, Allah, and so on. Okay. Now here's the point. We can talk about it. And just now it took me about 5 minutes just to say all of that. But we really don't know how long that interaction took. We don't really know. We weren't there. We don't know whether the interaction took just a moment or whether it took 20 minutes or half an hour. We don't know. He was alone in the cave with Jibril, and so, but whatever, it could have been just a moment. It could have happened like in a flash. The time it takes me to say assalamu alaikum to you, it's a possibility that interaction between Jibril, the initial interaction between Jibril alayhi salam and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's a possibility that, brother, click that fan until it goes faster. Click it around a couple more times because it's just getting uncomfortable over there. It's on the slowest speed. Now click it, it'll stop, and then click it 2 more times. Yeah. 1 more time. That's a good speed. That's a little bit better. What's the last thing I said? It was pending. Oh yeah, okay. So the interaction between Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Jibril alayhi salam, we don't really know because Allah is time. Allah could have that interaction could take a moment. The bottom line is, because of that moment, whatever space of time that was, the revelation began to be revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because of that space of time, even if it was only a moment, Allah blessed the entire night. And not only did he bless the entire night, he blessed the entire month. That's how powerful that interaction with Jibril and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was, that because of that moment, that brief interaction that he gave, that they had when he was reciting those 5 ayats, because of that moment, Allah blessed the entire month. That's how powerful it was. So because of that, that's something that revelation, it changed the entire world for the rest of history. For the rest of the existence of the planet Earth, that moment changed everything, because that's when the Quran came down. The Quran, the final revelation, after all the other books, all the other prophets that had already come, all of their books that had already been revealed to them, the Torah, the Injil, all of that, the Zabur, which is a song, all of those, after all of that, the most important book of all, that would change the course of history until the day of judgment. That's how powerful that was. So Allah, because of that, he blessed the entire month. Now the whole month is blessed now, what Allah says. The whole month is blessed. And then what does he say in the Quran? Now, if we're fortunate enough to be in worship, in ibadah, or in dhikr, in tasbih, in something Islamically active, on the exact anniversary of that initial interaction with Jibril and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then you'll get it recorded on your record in your book of deeds as if you worshiped for 84 years, 1,000 months, right? But we don't. But how do we catch that? The only thing we know is that whenever that interaction was, it was during the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan, right? In the last 10 nights. That's the only thing we know. Because Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was told by Allah that this is if you're worshiping, if you're doing this, what is called the Laylatul Qadr, the night of the decree, the night when this came down, then you get all this big reward. And so he was leaving his home, or wherever he was, I'm not sure, please forgive me if I don't remember whether he was at home or in a masjid. Wherever he was inside somewhere, to go and tell everybody when that Laylatul Qadr was, when that actual anniversary was, the exact night. But on his way to tell them, there was a dispute between a couple of Muslims that he stopped to settle. When he stopped to settle that dispute, the story goes, by the time he settled it, he forgot which night it was. But the only thing he could remember, that it was in the last 10 nights and it was an odd night. That's all he can remember. And so that was our blessing. Our blessing and our protection, meaning the Muslims, our protection is that Allah was protecting us from wasting our Ramadan. He was protecting us from being contradictory, because a lot of Muslims are very, very weak. And if a lot of Muslims knew for sure when Laylatul Qadr was, the anniversary, then a lot of Muslims will wait until that night to start doing good. But Allah knows us. He created us. He knows us. He knows our heart. He knows everything about us because He created us. He used some of Him to create us. There's some good. How do we know that some of Allah is in each of us? Because when we hear the bad news about somebody passing away, some disastrous event, what are we taught to say? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. From Allah we come, to Allah we return. Right? Everybody's supposed to say that. From Allah we come to, that means we came from Allah, so that there's something good. No matter how bad I think your personality might be, no matter how corrupt or how much of a criminal you might be, no matter how bad I think you are, which my opinion doesn't matter, there's still some good in you somewhere because you came from Allah. Right? Okay. So, and so Allah knows us. And so He protected us by not allowing the Prophet ﷺ to actually remember. Now, there's still some Muslims today, and I've been in many places around the world, but mostly here in America this happened, where Muslims actually try to say, well, they know when the night of power is. I know when it is. Oh, okay, I get it. So you know what Prophet Muhammad ﷺ doesn't know. That's what they're saying. We're going to have our night of power on the 27th night. We're going to have our night of power on the 29th night. You know, this is the night of power. They make posters and everything. Sit on the internet. I'm saying, come on now. Seriously. You know, the wisest prophet of all the prophets. He left all the prophets in Salah when he went with the ascension. The wisest prophet, the one that's so powerful and so wise that he's spoken of, the only prophet spoken of, peace be upon him, in the present tense, right? We can't say Muhammad was the messenger of Allah. We have to say Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so he still teaches us to today, still corrects us to today, you know. And he had all this knowledge. Allah revealed the Quran to him. It took 23 years before he, 23 years, right? 23 years before he completed the whole collection of all of the ayahs in the Quran. It took 23 years. And all of this time, and he took all of that time to reveal it, and he had all of this knowledge in his head. Mind you now, he was illiterate. So he had to remember it. He was the first Hafiz, obviously, right? And that should help some of us who have trouble reading Arabic. You know, you can still memorize the Quran from listening to people, right? It's possible. People do it on the phone. In fact, there's a scholar called Qasim. I don't remember what generation he lived in, but Qasim was born deaf. He was deaf from birth. And he was gifted to be able to memorize the Quran from reading people's lips. And he got so good that he could correct your mistake just by seeing the way your mouth moved. Okay. All right, so here's the prophet, subhanAllah. Allah gave him all of that. He revealed the Quran to him in the past tense, present tense, and future tense, all at the same time. That's how miraculous the Quran is. He did all of that, you know, and he doesn't remember when the actual Laylatul Qadr, but there's Muslims that have programs and they rent halls and do all of this stuff and tell everybody that Laylatul Qadr is going to be here. I'm confused about that. I don't even debate with him anymore. You know, I say, okay, that's a boat you want to row, fine. So, but then Allah, he puts the focus for us. The focus is on the Quran. Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, if you're taking notes, you can write down Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat 185. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن الهدى للناس وبرهة من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصوم. Allah says the month of Ramadan is in which was sent down the Quran as a guide to people who done, as a guide to people, also a furqan, clear signs for guidance and judgment. Of course, obviously, judgment between right and wrong. So every one of you who is at their place of residence, doesn't mean like inside the house, it means where you're in the area where you live. During that month, you spend it in the Psalm. Spend it in the English translation says fasting. All right? Now, it says every one of you. It says shahidun minkum. Minkum shahidun faliyasum. It is every one of you. At any age, he didn't put any restrictions there. Any age, everybody must observe abstention. Psalm means to abstain from. And as I said in the opening, I'm going to explain with the help of Allah why we put too much emphasis on the food. Because you say fasting, which is English. English is so insufficient. I mean, we got to use it because we live in a country that speaks English. It comes in handy. English comes in handy. I'm speaking to you now in this talk. I'm using English, right? Most of us accepted Islam because the Quran was available in an English translation, and we got just enough to know that this book is for me. But that's not the exact language. But English is inferior and it's very incomplete. Islam, Quranic Arabic is very specific. Quranic Arabic is talking about worship. If it's Quranic Arabic, it's something about our religion, something connected to the deen. I'll give you a couple of examples. In Surah Al-Kahf, when Allah says, don't say of anything, and here's the translation, don't say of anything you're going to do tomorrow without saying, if it pleases Allah, if it's the will of Allah, right? Right. The Arabic word for tomorrow in that ayah is gadan. Gadan, in regular street language, if you're talking to somebody in Arabic, if you're walking and hanging out in the marketplace in Yemen, and then you just say gadan, I say gadan, that's tomorrow. Like tomorrow's Monday, right? Yom Ithnain, right? It's Monday. That's gadan. That's literally. But in the Quran, gadan, it doesn't necessarily mean the weekday the next day. And here's my evidence. If when Allah says, don't say of anything you're going to do tomorrow without saying inshallah, without saying gadan. Okay, and if we only use it in English, then we think it's literal. But if I say, as a Muslim, I'm gonna get up from this table and walk over and shake his hand. If I don't say inshallah, there's something wrong with that. Without talking about waiting tomorrow, you want to sit there till tomorrow. You don't want to sit there till tomorrow. But that means that gadan, according to the Quran, means a time that has not yet arrived. Don't say you're going to do something in a time that hasn't come yet without saying inshallah, because Allah can change it just that quick. He does that. I got many cases. Go to YouTube when imams were giving khutbah, and he said, we're going to stop for salat at 1:55, and had a heart attack and died in the middle of his khutbah. He didn't say inshallah. He wasn't talking about we're going to pray. We're going to pray Salat Jumu'ah, pray on Saturday. Talking about a few minutes from now. We don't know. Okay, so the Arabic of the Quran is very specific. It's specific. For example, in the Quran, when they translate the word salat, it's always in English prayer, right? But in Islam, prayer is not a sufficient translation for salat, because a dua is prayer, right? Yes. If I make a dua, it's a supplication, which is a good, decent translation. A dua is a decent translation, because I don't have to be in wudu. I don't have to face the qibla. I don't have to say it in Arabic, right? None of those things apply. In fact, I don't even have to hold my hands up in it. I can be thinking about Allah and ask, oh Allah, please help me. That's a dua. In fact, when you greet somebody, assalamu alaikum, that's a dua, right? So you can't say that salat is sufficient prayer is sufficient translation for salat, because when you say salat, it's a specific type of way that you have to worship. It has rules, structure, organization. If it's salat, then you have to stand up, bow. Now, here's another example. I'm going to stand up to show you this. I'm glad you're recording this. Okay. If I ask the average Muslim, what is ruku? What's ruku? Bow. That's an English word, right? Okay. Now, ruku and bow, that's what you're saying, right? So if you see me praying, or if I'm leading you in salat, and I'm in qiyam like this, and I'm saying I'm going to ruku, and I do like this, what would you say? Tell the truth. That's not ruku, but it's bowing, huh? If I'm standing up in salat, and I say my next move is ruku, and I do like this, what would you say, brother? Tell the truth. You don't have to make me feel bad. That's not ruku, right? But it's bowing. In the Far East, the Japanese, the Chinese, and other cultures in the Far East, and even in martial arts, there's a courtesy bow. It's a courtesy bow you do like this. I was in Korea. I spent many. I was in Korea, but I spent many trips for this masjid in Tokyo, and the men don't even shake hands with each other. They stand up and give a courtesy bow like this, right? Yes, that's not ruku, but it's a courtesy bow. Same thing with martial arts. Doesn't matter. Shotokan, Kung Fu, Taekwondo, no matter what it is, their tradition is you salute the school, you salute the mat, you salute the teacher, you salute each other, you even salute your opponent when you're getting ready to fight. It's a courtesy bow like this. So bowing is a very poor and insufficient and incomplete translation for ruku. Ruku is very specific. I'm getting to a point about this Ramadan. Ruku comes from the Arabic word rukba. Rukba means the knee. When you bow in ruku for salat, your hands have to be at your knees, right? And your back has to be straight. There's no martial artist, no Chinese, Japanese, and nobody that greets somebody like this. It's a quick courtesy bow. But you don't do no quick courtesy bow to Allah. You have to do it the way Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us, and you have to ruku, put your hands at your knees, and then he says what? He said, you stay in that position till your bones settle. And the time it takes for us to say Subhana Rabbil Azim 3 times, by the time you say that real easy, by that time your bones have settled. Then you get up. You don't do that for people. It's only for Allah. All right? So here's my point. Saum is a specific type of fasting, is an English word. And it's insufficient. It's okay. It's close enough to help us get an idea what we're supposed to do. But saum is directly connected to something that you only do for Allah. Here's an example. Many of us have gone to see our doctor, and the doctor says, I need to check your blood. So I'm going to send you an appointment for the lab. And then the lab sends you a note that said, you have to fast from midnight until you get back to the doctor, to the lab, right? That's what they say, right? And then when you get to the doctor, no matter what time your appointment is, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, you're okay. After that, you can eat. That wasn't saum. That is fasting, a medical fast. Then there's people that's trying to lose weight. They go on a dietary fast. I'm just going to drink juice, or I'm just going to eat seaweed, or whatever. I'm on a dietary fast. There are athletes. I used to run track. Don't be impressed. I was the slowest person on the team. And the coach said, you don't put nothing on your stomach. You have to fast until after the meet. All right? Now, in Ramadan, when Muslims are observing sound, if I tell you that I'm fasting, even though I use the English word, and you see me eating a sandwich, a burger, a Whopper at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, I say, oh, I already fasted. He said, but it's Ramadan. You didn't fast. We still use the English word. Saum is for Allah. There's specific methods of observing Saum for Allah. First of all, you have to rise up before dawn. I'm not talking about before sunrise, before dawn. Put something in your stomach. If you don't have an appetite, sometimes Ramadan comes in the morning, you don't have no appetite, but it's the sunnah to put something, sunnah kifaya, so to put something in your stomach. A sip of water, a couple of days. If you don't have to have no turkey dinner. There's something in your stomach before dawn breaks, while it's dark, before dawn breaks, because when the cock-a-doodle-doo, when that happens, then you got to stop, right? And then nothing goes in your mouth, water, juice, vitamin pills, nothing, until the sun has set. And then when the sun sets, then you're supposed to break our fast quickly, as soon as possible. What does Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam say about that? He said, Al-ajra min ash-shaytan. He said, haste is from the devil. He said, avoid haste except in necessary acts of worship. So that's a necessary act of worship to break your fast. Okay, so this fast, quotation marks, or the Saum during the month of Ramadan is a way to do, even if we observe Saum or Islamic or Quranic fasting outside of Ramadan, it's still done the same way. Just like when you do Sunnah or Nawafil Salah, right? And you do Sunnah prayers, you sunnah to masjid, you hear the adhan, you do 2 rakats, you make wudu, you do 2 rakats, you istikhara, you do 2 rakats. Whenever you pray, even if it's not an obligatory prayer, it still has to be done a certain way. So whenever you fast for Islam, for Allah, and you're observing Saum for Allah, and use English only, it's convenient, then it still has to be done a certain way. Well, I don't have to fast like that. But you do, because otherwise it's not Saum, because Saum is for Allah. Okay. We missed the whole point by focusing only on food. We missed the point. We missed the point because what happens is that we lose the main focus of why Allah prescribed the fasting. And Allah, I don't like to use the word articulate, that's what people do. But Allah tells us in the Quran, He gives us one reason. You can come up with other legitimate reasons, I shouldn't say reasons, but benefits. So we missed the whole point. Here's what Allah tells in the Quran. The same surah, Surah Baqarah, but this time it's a couple ayahs earlier. This is ayat number 183. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Oh, you who believe, Saum is prescribed for you as it was prescribed to those before you, so you can develop taqwa. Now, Saum for Allah was prescribed to Muslims, to people, I should say, before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it wasn't done that way. We do it this way because this is the way Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us. The prophets that came before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they observed Saum, and it was for Allah. But the specific method of the way we do it here, as the ummah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because this is the way he said to do it. And Allah says in the Quran, obey Allah and follow the messenger. Okay, and so we can learn taqwa. He didn't say, I prescribe fasting for you or Saum for you so that you can lose weight or so your mind can get sharper. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're supposed to fast because it helps me memorize the Quran better. That's an actual extra benefit. Of course, brothers and sisters, within the general principle of dietary discipline, there are definitely medical, physical, biological, and mental benefits to fasting, to observing Saum. That's a given. They're going to benefit. But that's not the reason that Allah gave us. Allah is so unlimited that He tells us to do something, and there's so many benefits connected to it. Just like the salat, the daily salat we do, there are non-Muslim physicians that have confirmed that the way that Muslims pray is healthy for the body and the mind. Especially when they said the way the Muslims prostrate. Because the blood rushes to your brain and it increases your ability to think and remember. And then all of the joints. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was taught by Allah that there are 360 joints in the human body. He wasn't a scientist. Everything he got came from Allah. He said that you use all 360 joints just to make 2 rakats. So there's definite medical, physical, biological benefits to praying, just like there's definite medical, physical, biological, and mental benefits to sound. But that's not the reason. None of those is the reason. Allah only gave one reason for prescribing fasting for us, so we could get more religious, so we can have taqwa, so we can increase our respect for the presence of Allah. That's the reason that Allah gave, and that's good enough. I used to sign up on it, I'll admit. May Allah forgive me. Non-Muslims used to come to me and say, why do you fast? You know, and I would say, yeah, because it makes my mind sharper, you know, and I can get rid of excess weight, and, you know, and I can think quicker and all that. I used to say all of that stuff that sounded important. May Allah forgive me. But I'm not the only one that did that. But that's not what Allah says. Allah revealed the Quran, which is the month that we're about to celebrate. We're more than halfway through Shaban, right? More than halfway through. You can hear Ramadan's footsteps running up the driveway right now. It's almost here, you know. But the only reason that Allah gave, and He is the one that revealed the Quran, and He blessed the entire month, because now the world has come after all that the human beings have done to themselves. In Surah Al-Imran, and hold tight to the rope of Allah and don't be divided among yourselves. He said, because you were enemies and on the brink, on the brink of total destruction. Human beings were about to destroy each other. Then what Allah do at the last minute? During the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he's in the cave, he said, he snatched us back at the last minute. 600 years with no rules, no laws, total destruction. After the taking over, disappearance of Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam, and there was nothing, and human beings were going to destroy all of humanity. But before Allah allowed that to happen, we're on the brink. Hufratin min nar. Hufratin, right on the edge, min anar, of the fire. We're on the edge of the fire. Everybody was going to fry. But Allah, out of His mercy, revealed the Quran on that blessed night, Laylatul Qadr, and then snatched us back with 5 ayats. He saved humanity with 5 ayats from the Quran. We should memorize those. 5 ayats, and from Surah Allah, the clot. What is a clot? A clot is something that has potential, but nobody knows the potential except Allah. That's a clot. When the clot it's a clot of congealed blood, it's in the womb of the mother. Nobody knows what it's going to be when it's a clot. You can do all the sonograms all you want. There's got to be a certain stage for you know the gender of the baby, what's going to be 2, 3, or 4 twins or whatever. But a clot, only Allah knows the potential. What we will grow to be, what that person's going to grow to be. I see homeless people sometimes on the street, they just gave up on life. One thing that crossed my mind, I was telling my wife the other day, I said, you know what, I wonder sometimes, I wonder what their parents were thinking the day they were born. You know, they just throw their life away. You know, you ever think about that, brothers and sisters? What was my parents thinking the day I was born? If you sisters that are parents already, you think about, if you want to have an idea, think about what you were thinking when your child was born. Oh, she's going to be a doctor. He's going to be an engineer. He's going to be a social worker. They don't say stuff like, he's going to rob banks. He's going to be a serial killer. He's going to kill babies. You know, they don't think like that. They think all the beautiful stuff. What happened a few years later? They're on a street corner with raggedy clothes, holding up a sign talking about, give me a quarter. You know, or they're in jail because they done killed somebody because they had a bad temper. You know, but we have an opportunity to mold the children. This is the purpose of this talk today. While they're in the palm of our hand, all the monotheistic faiths teach that man is created from clay. What is clay? I mean, y'all remember junior high school when they let us play with clay? Sometimes I know the elementary school may do it. And what is a clay? You mold it and shape it till you get it to where you want it. the shape you want it to be, right? No matter what. And then if you want to stay in that shape, when you're sure that that's the way what you want it to be, what do you do with it? You put it in an oven called a kiln. And that oven bakes it so that shape you put it in becomes permanent. What is one of the root meanings of Ramadan? It means intense heat or burning. However you enter this oven of Ramadan, that's how you're going to be when Ramadan comes out. If you enter Ramadan having fun or just looking for something, and your Islamic disposition is pliable, and you're trying to be a chameleon and just trying to fit in, and it's unsure, and you don't have no definite shape, no definite deen that you want about yourself, no definite Islamic lifestyle, and you enter the month of Ramadan, and it bakes you with that heat. Then on Eid day, you're going to be just as twisted and unsure as you were when Ramadan first started. Very, very important. So, now, so Allah says, I prescribe this for you so you can learn taqwa. And it's much easier if you understand what abstinence actually means. Saum means abstinence, to abstain from. If we understand that and accept that, then it's much easier to realize and accept the fact that Allah prescribed us. He said, don't eat or drink during the day, because we have a tendency to be more serious. And let's loose talk and lughwi, that's vain talk, when you're hungry and thirsty. And if you're doing it for Allah, then the things that come out of your mouth are more positive. Yes. However, the reason Allah gave us is the only reason, to purify us. To purify our soul, that's part of taqwa. To purify our disposition, that's part of taqwa. To purify our intentions, that's part of taqwa. To purify our heart, that's part of taqwa. To purify our aspirations, that's part of taqwa. To purify our khushu, what's khushu? Khushu is religious focus. When you're in salat, or religious focus when you're in tasbih, that's like an Islamic word for like meditation. That's tasbih. When you're in dhikr, or when you're doing a good deed to help somebody, your focus is the akhirah. Allah says, seek ye the hereafter. Don't forget your share of the material world. The Prophet, peace be upon him, he said, don't curse the dunya, because you need the dunya to get to the akhirah. But focus on the akhirah, and the dunya will be no problem for you if you focus on the akhirah. My granddaughter I think she's still in here. She studied Taekwondo, and I was trying to teach her what I learned when I was studying martial art. When she was a white belt and she had to break a board, she had difficulty. Her hand was bouncing off the board. She had difficulty. So I told her, she finally passed, but then I said, look, next time you do that test, don't think about the board. Think about what's on the other side of the board. Put your hand or your fist or your foot or your elbow, whatever you're distracted with, on the other side of the board. You still got to train on this side of the board. You still got to get this strong. You still got to get everything in order. But when you when you approach it, don't think about the board. Think about what's beyond that board, and there's no problem. So she said, get out, right? Okay. What does Allah tell us in the Quran? Don't focus on the dunya. Don't focus what's on this side of the afterlife. Focus on the afterlife. Of course, we gotta take care of ourselves. We gotta keep ourselves healthy so we're able to pray like we want to. Keep ourselves strong. And study so our mind gets sharp. We gotta do all of that, but we're doing it not for the dunya. We're doing it for the afterlife. So is saum. Saum is not meant to be for physical or medical benefit, though that happens automatically. Allah does that out of His mercy. He's Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Allah does that out of His mercy. However, the reason is because we want to be close to Him. And on the day of judgment, that's what we want, right? On the day of judgment, when we stand before Allah, we want Him to tell us, your fast was accepted in 2024. Sister, brother, your fast was also accepted in 2023. You kind of messed up in 2022, but with the other voluntary deeds you did that you didn't have to do, we're going to fix that for you. That's how merciful Allah is. Isn't that a beautiful God to serve? That when we come up short, He tries to find an excuse to still get us in His paradise. He said, I know you messed up that one Ramadan. I know that you was thinking about your favorite song when you're supposed to be praying that day. And I know that you overslept and missed Fajr prayer. But let me see what you did that you didn't have to do, some voluntary deed. Maybe you fasted a couple times, a couple of days you didn't have to, whatever you did. Maybe you gave one of the sisters who's new to Islam your favorite dress, whatever, something you didn't have to do. And Allah said, okay, tell the angels, put it on the scale to help them out, because I want them in my paradise. The closing ayat of Surah Al-Fajr, right? Enter you, my devotees, enter into my paradise. That's an invitation from Allah. Some people get impressed when I say, come to my house for dinner, and say, woo, I get to go to Imam's house for dinner. Sister Hussein, she's really cool. You're impressed with that. But here's God, the Lord of the universe, the creator of everything. He said, enter into my paradise. I want you in my paradise, but I want you to come right. I want you to come right. Be in wudu. Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, said he prescribed for his ummah to try to stay in wudu all the time. SubhanAllah. Okay. So now, we're doing our children, brothers and sisters, a terrible, terrible injustice by allowing them, and in some cases encouraging them, to ignore the true spirit of the Ramadan atmosphere. We're not being fair to the children. We're not being fair. We let them, when Ramadan comes, just because they don't have puberty, and just because they're not obligated to fast, we almost like tell them, forget about Ramadan. You don't have to think about Ramadan, because you're too young to fast. You're too young to go out eating. No, we can't say that. Allah says that He had prescribed it at any age, any condition. He said, all of you. He said, he sat down and cried, and the guide to the people, clear signs and guidance for judgment. So every one of you who's at their place of worship to observe Psalm. What does that mean? At the moment, see that cute little baby right there? Little baby there. Cute, pretty little baby. Okay, a beautiful little baby. As soon as that baby gets old enough to reason, as soon as that baby can know how to say no when you ask a question, or especially when they learn how to lie. You remember, y'all mothers, you remember when the first time your child told you a lie? As soon as they get to that age, you're supposed to teach them how to observe Ramadan. They might not be able to go without food and drink. Their body's trying to develop. But there's an Islamic atmosphere that you're supposed to demand in that household. It's Ramadan. SubhanAllah. The entertainment, the games, the sports, TikTok, all this stuff. A lot of parents in denial, brother. Don't get mad at me. But a lot of parents are intimidated by their children. They're scared if they take their cell phone, they're not going to love me no more. I want my cell phone. And we're so scared. I'm almost 75 years old if I live a couple more months. We didn't even have phone. There was no communication unless you went and talked to somebody. I went all the way through high school. The pages wasn't even invented when I graduated. If you want to tell somebody something, you got to sit down, write them a letter, lick the envelope, walk to the mailbox, put it in the mailbox, and sit down and wait 2 weeks to see if they got it. Nowadays, everybody's on microwave. I want you to hear it now. I'm going to tell you right now. And we use the excuse, well, my child needs a phone so they can be in touch with me for emergency. How many emergencies do you actually have? My mother and father had emergencies, and everything got worked out. SubhanAllah. But that's just a cop-out. They don't want an emergency. But the emergency is they can't play a virtual game with their friends that live on the other side of town. That's what they call emergency. I lost my signal. But and the sports, I'm not talking about livelihood sports. They can play basketball in the playground. That's not livelihood. There's Muslim athletes that are professionals. That's their livelihood. They got to play those games. That's how they earn their living. But none of our kids is getting paid to play basketball on no playground or soccer. 11 months. We got 11 months. Let's just sit down and tell the children. Believe me, they'll be mad, but they'll love you in the morning, especially if you put a padlock on the refrigerator. They'll love you in the morning, you know. 11 months they have to be frivolous, minus 48 days. Because we got, the Muslims have 48 Eids. Outside of Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha. That's Jummah. Jummah is an Eid. From Maghrib and Yom al-Khamis, which is Thursday, to Maghrib, Yom al-Jum'ah on Friday. Between that time, it's all sacred. Right? So you happy to be Muslim? Are you sure? You need to ask your children. Look, be honest with me, baby. If you're not enjoying being Muslim, then let me help you enjoy it. Let me give you some enjoyment. You come home from a public school and upset because all your friends celebrated Christmas and Halloween and Valentine's Day and all that stuff. But you got, 54 holidays a year. SubhanAllah. And you got something they don't have. But I'll buy you, and then we don't even buy our kids gifts on the Eid. We don't even buy them gifts. We hope to see it, Maybe the master took up a collection. Maybe you can get a little blow-up doll or something, down at the, make it a big deal. SubhanAllah. We're not being fair to them. But they got 11 months. 11 months to act stupid. It goes for the adults too. But I know some brothers, as soon as the sun, I saw one brother one time, I'm not exaggerating, his name is not important. I saw him outside watching the sun like this. As soon as he go down, man, he turned on the radio, he couldn't hardly wait, started stuffing his face. Come on now. We got 11 months. Allah says, if you love Islam, if you love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you love the Quran, if you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azza wa jalla, then 30 days, just doing them 30 days. Okay, maybe we messed up a few Jummahs. Maybe we was listening to music early in the morning and right after Jummah we hopped in our car. Okay, I give you that. But Ramadan is when the Quran was revealed. It changed the whole planet Earth for the rest of humanity to the day of judgment, and you don't want to take 30 days to sit aside and discipline your household. Say, no, this is Ramadan. We're not going to do that until the moon is sighted again. As soon as that moon is sighted, we should unplug everything. Well, I got to watch TV because I need to watch the news, see what's going on. When the last time you watched something on the news and did something about what you saw? We didn't watch it. I need to watch the news because I want to see what the weather is tomorrow. You can ask somebody, or you cheapskate, go buy a newspaper. But this is Ramadan. This is the month of the Quran. And here's something else another Muslim do. A lot of Muslims, Allah says in the Quran, He said, read as much of the Quran as easy for you. Not just during Ramadan, anytime, but especially during Ramadan. Our goal should be, or our desire should be, when Ramadan comes, to read as much of the Quran as we possibly can. If you can finish the whole Quran, whatever language you're comfortable with, Arabic, English, Swahili, whatever it is, then try to read as much. If you can finish the whole Quran, fine. If you don't finish the whole Quran and you're doing your best, finish half of it, finish one surah, fine. Read as much as you can. This is Allah talking. That's not scholarly opinion, and I'm not even a scholar. So read as much of the Quran as easy for you. But what a lot of Muslims do, they won't read the Quran at all. They'll go to a masjid for Taraweeh prayer and just hope that the one leading the prayer is going to finish the Quran in Taraweeh prayer. That's not his job to read it for you. It's okay. I'm not putting it down. People like to stand and listen to somebody recite a whole juz every night. That's on there. That's the boat they want to row. It's no problem. Whatever floats their boat. But I'm saying that's not the object of Ramadan. The object of Ramadan is not to let somebody else recite it for you at the masjid, and you have all this other free time, and you won't even crack the book to read something for yourself. We're supposed to read as much as we can. That's an order from Allah. That's not just a suggestion. Even the actual fasting, there's no, So the intimidated parents use the excuse, here's what we say sometimes, that, oh, I don't want to rob the children of their childhood. You know, they're still children. Let them play. I agree with you, but let them play the 11 months out of the year. Prepare them. Don't wait until the moon is sighted and all of a sudden give them a shock treatment, culture shock, and say, the moon's been sighted, now you got to get serious. We got 11 months to prepare them. Just like some Muslims, they accept Islam, And they don't even try to prepare their families on what to do after they pass away. They wait until somebody dies. Then they try to tell their family, you got to have Islamic funeral. What's going on Islam? I don't want no Muslim bury my relative. You know, you're supposed to use all of this time to prepare people. So prepare your children. Now, we still got a couple of weeks. If we haven't done anything yet, there's still a little bit of time, especially if your children still respect you. I know some of us are older, our children are already grown, you know, but it takes a village to raise a child. There's some other children you have access to, you can talk to, you can influence. You start preparing them now. Say, look, Ramadan's coming. You want to enjoy it? Go ahead and enjoy your little games. Go ahead. Watch your cartoons and Batman or whatever it is, Transform, whatever you want to do. Go ahead. Have your fun. Go out in and play basketball until your elbows fall off. I don't care. But when the moon is sighted, we're putting a garbage bag over the basketball net, Brother Hanif. When the moon is sighted, right before on Sunday night, next week, Sunday night, you walk around with a garbage bag in your back pocket. As soon as you say the moon is sighted, get up on the ladder, cover the basketball hoop. At this masjid, I'm telling you right now, this masjid, we're gonna insist that the Ramadan atmosphere is everybody who steps inside that door. If you are intimidated by your children and you want to let them come in there and hide in the corner playing video games with their phone during Ramadan, we can't micromanage your household, but to take them and go outside and sit on the sidewalk or go sit in your car. None of that during Ramadan. We're going to try to help us all get better. I want for you what I want for me. Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, la yu'minuna hattakum. Now, one of you is a believer to your love for your brother. That means sister to what you love for your own soul. What I want for me is to have the best Ramadan I ever had in my life. The most spiritual Ramadan. I want more discipline. And if I slip, I'm expecting the brothers who care about me to correct me. Correct me. Like Abu Bakr Siddiq said when he was inaugurated as a leader of the Muslim community after the Prophet, peace be upon him, passed away. He said, when I'm right, support me. When I'm wrong, correct me. So I might slip. Just remind me. I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to call the police. I'm just going to thank you. Because if you're trying to correct me, even if you think that you might be wrong, that to me, I interpret that as you trying to make me be a better Muslim. Why wouldn't I want to be a better Muslim if you're trying to correct me? So we should accept the correction, especially someone doing it politely. Even if someone wants to remind us about our children, don't get upset. Don't be telling me how to raise my child. That's my child. Don't do that. Come on now. We love each other. We love the children. We love brothers and sisters. SubhanAllah. If someone comes to you, sister, and say, your child is hiding over in the corner, or they'll be okay. Them kids, you know how those kids are. They do that now. Children got their cell phones that we spoil them with. 3 o'clock in the morning playing video games, and they sleep in Miss Fontenberry and say, my boy, he suffer all night long. Therefore, boy, them kids or something. It ain't funny. It's serious. We're trying to make leaders. Don't you realize how old I am? SubhanAllah, I might not make it to Asr prayer today. One of these boys got to lead this community. These sisters, the young girls, they gotta take over the women's committee. They gotta make stuff happen. They gotta teach everybody. We gotta teach the children now, SubhanAllah. And so the children, what we should do, even the actual fasting, there's no harm, no matter how young the child is, there's no harm in encouraging them to at least try, right? Say, okay, you're not obligated, you haven't reached the age of maturity yet, but I want you to at least try, see how far you can go. Maybe you can fast till noon. Maybe you can fast all day, you skip a day and fast a couple of days later. Encourage them to at least try so they get in the mindset of the Islamic atmosphere. Let them at least try, and stop worrying about what you're robbing them of. Because while we're worried about robbing them of their childhood, we're actually robbing the children of their Islamic adulthood. So we have to admit, the ball is in our court, parents. And as for the new Muslims, there are many people accepting Islam in droves. And some people accept Islam just right before Ramadan, and some accept Islam during Ramadan. So we have to be patient with them and encourage them and say, look, at least try and do your best. Do the best you can. We're not going to judge you or criticize you. I mean, that don't mean walk around right in front of me eating a sandwich, you know, and drinking a milkshake. I mean, you at least hide it a little bit, you know. But don't flaunt it. You know, I'm a new Muslim. You know, chomp, chomp, chomp. You know, I mean, encourage them and make them feel shy to eat or drink in front of people if they haven't reached that level yet. But still encourage them. Do the best you can. What's your dalil, Qasim? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, what Allah and His Messenger forbids you to do, don't do it. What Allah and His Messenger enjoins you to do as much as you can. So do the best you can. There's people on medication. There's Muslims for years they're on medication, and they got one pill they got to take a day. And they say, well, I can't fast because I got one medication. That's one pill. Try. Readjust your schedule a little bit. Go sit down and talk to your doctor. Say, look, I got this one pill I'm supposed to take at noon, you know, but I'm fasting. Is there a way you can readjust my prescription for me? At least try, because Allah respects the effort. And what's your evidence? In the Quran, when Hazrat Maryam, the mother of Isa alayhi salam, when she was in labor pain, and she said, take this pain away, Allah said, get up and shake the tree. And she shook the tree and the dates fell. The dates didn't fall. No, I got my one. The dates didn't fall because she shook the tree. The dates fell because Allah respected her effort. So our children might not be strong enough to fast yet. Even the ones that we failed in preparing them who should be fasting. We have some of the brothers and sisters who are young, who just got into puberty, and they're having a rough time. Okay, but encourage them, do your best, just try. Ain't that what we tell them when they go to school? They bring back a report card. It's not all A's or all B's, some C's, or like me, D's and D minuses. And my father would say, is that the best you could do? You know, and if I hesitated, you know, then I got punished. But I said, that's the best I could do. He said, well, okay, just keep trying harder and do your best. So tell the children, do the best you possibly can. Allah will respect your effort, and Allah will respect our effort as parents for doing the best we can to prepare our children. As we begin to conclude, I'm going over a little bit, we started late anyway. As we begin to conclude, the reason why I'm focused so much on the children is because I'm really concerned about them, and I see what happens. The sound for Allah is far much higher than just to focus on food. And so our children, whether they're fasting or not, from the food and drink, we should make them understand the importance of keeping an Islamic atmosphere, the Ramadan spirit. And because and one phrase that I dislike, I disagree with, when he said the children are our future, I disagree with that. The children are our now. And we have some examples in Islamic history of how the youth, the Muslim youth, helped lead the community. Some of them are Ali ibn Ali Talib. He was 10 years old. Abdullah bin Umar, he was 13 years old. Ubaidah bin Jarrah, he was 13 years old. Uqba bin Amr, he was 14 years old. Jabir bin Abdullah, he was 15 years old. Zayd bin Haris, 15 years old. Abdullah bin Mas'ud, he was 16. Habab bin Arat, he was 16. Zubair al-Wan, he was 16 years old. Talha Ubaidullah, he was 17 years old. Abdul Rahman bin Ibn Auf, he was 17 years old. Arqam bin Arabi Arqam, he was 17 years old. Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, he was 17 years old. Asma bin Abu Bakr, she was 17 years old. And by the way, she was the daughter of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, and she's the one that the hadith about her is what encouraged the Muslim sisters to also know their obligation to help contribute, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was about to finance a war, but she came to him and said, this is the daughter of Abu Bakr. She said, Ya Rasulullah, give me some advice. And he said, never close your money bag. So he's talking to the sisters. The sisters have something to contribute as well. And then there was Muaz bin Jabal, 18, and Musa bin Umair, he was 18 years old. That's just a few examples of the young people that was leaders. And that's why I like to put our young people up front. If the young brothers can lead Salat, lead Salat. If them brothers have something, they study something, have something to offer, the sisters as well. You know, it was the Fatima, the daughter of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she was just a young girl, 50, young in her teens, I don't know her exact age. She defended her father physically at the Kaaba when they were disrespecting him when he tried to make salah, you know. And the youngest bride of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Aisha, one of the most popular of the brides of the Prophet after Khadija radiallahu anha, she was so wise, she corrected the Sahaba on some hadith that they would recite that wasn't even sound, you know. And she was a young girl. So our young people, we need to prepare them. We need to nourish them. We need to cultivate them. But let's start with making them understand how to take Ramadan seriously so that everybody benefits. So as we conclude, Ramadan it's more than just a fasting with food. Ramadan is a spirit. It's an atmosphere that we should try to maintain in our households and wherever we go. Not just behind the closed doors, but everywhere we go. When riding around in our cars or wherever, and we should encourage everyone in our household to take this Ramadan seriously so we get the best benefit out of it. Now at this time, I know we went over time just a little bit, but having said that, I still would like to entertain any questions that anybody might have, inshallah. Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, no questions. At that point, we're going to, I'm going to recite Surah Al-Asr to complete the service today, and then we'll ask one of the brothers to call you then, and we'll have Salat al-Dhuhr, inshallah. And there's refreshments outside. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Wal-Asr. Inna al-insana fi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu s-salihat wa tawassaw bil-haqq wa tawassaw bis-sabr. Alhamdulillah. Amin. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Don't turn it off yet. Celine, I forgot something. Very important. It's regarding the Eid. It's a very brief comment. I know I recited the Asr, but the Eid, the month of Ramadan is actually the celebration. For some of the new Muslims and some of the children, they think that the Eid is the celebration. Eid is a festival to salute the celebration that we have. Ramadan, we're celebrating the Quran. And we have to be very, very careful that when the Eid comes, that we don't over-exaggerate the socializing that we do to make like we're so happy that Ramadan is over. Yes, Ramadan is over. I'm so happy. Ain't you happy? Like we're getting rid of it. You know, we're supposed to be sad when Ramadan goes. We're supposed to be sad when it goes. I'm not saying be despondent and be depressed. I'm saying we should be disappointed that Ramadan ended. You know, but we act like the Wizard of Oz. Ding dong, the witch is dead, the wicked old Ramadan, wicked old Ramadan. You know, we're so happy, you know, and we celebrate. Shaitan's out of jail. Come on, have some fun with us. We're gonna sing and we're gonna intermix, you know, and all of that. Shaitan, I'm so glad to see you. That's the way we act. But we have to be very careful that we don't compromise nor contradict the beauty of what we experienced those previous 30 days. Maybe we should be happy that we successfully gained something during Ramadan. Maybe we should be happy that we successfully read more of the Quran than we normally do. That our taqwa is better. Our children's behavior got better. The relationship between the husband and wives, it got better during Ramadan. If we're happy, be happy about that because that's what Ramadan did for me. But don't be happy that Ramadan is over. That's not the celebration of the Eid. The festival is we're going to socialize together, and we're looking forward to the 6 days of fasting and Shawwal and anything extra we can do for Allah. I think I said enough. May Allah accept the best of our deeds and forgive us for the worst of them. A little more than a week or so from now, we'll be fasting, inshallah. We pray Allah will accept the best of everything we try to do for His sake. Quli kali hada astaghfirullah, la ilaha illallah, Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum.